So a faulty console has just arrived. Let's unbox it. Let's have a look, see what it is. I've already cut the tape. Take the packaging out of the way, and you can now see what it is. Oh yeah. It's a white Japanese Model 2 Sega Saturn. So this is going to need some cleaning up, that's for sure, and it's a bit yellowed, so it's going to need a bit of de-yellowing. Open button doesn't feel so great, I have to have a look at that. Reset and power buttons, controller ports. Condition doesn't look too bad. No back cover there for the battery compartment and the expansion port or the expansion slot, so that's a bit of a shame. You've got the communication connector, AV out, they look okay. The power connector looks fine. As it's a Japanese machine, of course, to test it out, I'm going to have to rig it up using my step-down converter, which I've got connected up to my Japanese Sega Saturn that you can see there. So let's see what the situation is with this one. Let's see if it works. So we'll turn the power on. Oh, we've got absolutely no video output whatsoever. That's interesting. Not sure if you can hear that, but it's making a high-pitched whine and we're getting nothing on the screen. So I wonder if it's an issue with the power supply, potentially, because the power supply seems to be making a whining noise. Okay, so whatever's making that whining noise is something to do with the power supply, because the two bottom pins here are both ground, and these two should both be 5 volts, and as you can see, that's 3.47, which is wrong, and that is also showing as 3.46, 3.47 volts. So there is an issue with that power supply, and that is what's causing the problem. So yeah, I'm gonna have to find out why we're only getting 3 volts, 3.5 volts, when we should be getting 5 on both of those pins. So yeah, I'll be back once I've had a bit of a deeper look at it. Right, okay, so we've got some craziness going on here. Can you see the power supply is out, but the Saturn is lit up and running, and I've got some madness going on here. Now, whatever you do, if you've got a whine coming from the power supply, no video output, and you're measuring the voltages on your Sega Saturn power supply, and they're low, do not do what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is craziness, okay? Don't copy what I'm doing here, because I'm using alligator clips and cables, and I've got this actually connected up to a universal power supply that's pushing out 5 volts. And it's 5 volts at 3 amps, so it's more than powerful enough to run this Saturn without any issues at all. Because I thought I'd give it a go. This thing was just whining at me. Nothing was happening. So I rigged this up. You've got the 2 ground points attached to negative on the power supply, and obviously the red cable attached to the 2 5-volt connections to power. And look at that. Look at what we've got. We've got ourselves a lovely video signal. So the console was actually working. It looks like the main fault is the power supply. Now that's not to say it's completely fixed, because there could be some other issues yet. I do still need to have a look, pop a game in, trip that lid switch, pop a game in and see if the game loads. So that's the next thing I'm going to do actually. I'm going to pop in a disc and I'm going to trip that lid switch somehow, and we'll see if it works. But yeah, again, do not do this. Do not mess about with janky wiring and crocodile clips to try and test something out if you're thinking of trying to fix a Saturn with a similar issue. Don't do this. Do not do it. Okay, so I've tripped the door switch by using that Velcro cable tie there. Let's see when I flip the switch if this is going to work. I've popped in my copy of Sega Rally. We've still got my janky, horrible wiring all in position here. Again, can't stress enough, don't do stupid things like this. So flip the power. As you can see, disc is spinning. That looks good. And then we've got the date and time screen, because the battery is non-existent in this machine. But look at that, Sega screen. And hopefully Sega Sports will pop up in a couple of seconds. Yes, it does. Look at that. So that's the Japanese copy of Sega Rally running on this machine here. I didn't know what the fault was when I bought it. It was just faulty spares or repairs. And it is a problem with the power supply. Because as you can see, There's Sega Rally running. The control works, which is great. I don't want to knock this thing too much because, of course, I've got a very janky, dodgy wiring setup going on here. And I don't want to move the Saturn around too much. So again, apologies that you'll be getting banding through the video. There's not much I can do about that, but as you can see, it's working. So I've got to figure out why that power supply is whining, why the voltage drops dramatically to 3.5 volts, and why, yeah, obviously by rigging this up it works. So just a little bit more information. If I test that power supply out of circuit, so I take it out of the Sega Saturn, leave it plugged into the mains, press the switch so it's on, and then probe the points, it comes up as 5 volts on those 2 points, 5.0 volts. But then when put into the Saturn back into circuit, obviously the load then gets drawn by the console. When you turn it on, the voltage drops dramatically. So something isn't quite right about that original power supply, and I'm going to have to figure out what it is. But you can see this Saturn is working. So I'll do a video later on updating you a bit further down the line if I manage to sort the power supply out. But for now, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.